Welcome to another live edition, episode, if you will, of Beyond the Veil, an unusual podcast. I'm your host, Jay.Drewz, also known as Blu-ray Jay, Blue House Prophet, and your co-host, T. Manuel, also known as Manu Ray L, the poetic prophet, Black Sun Shaman. Welcome.
Good to be in the place, peace, and perfect resonance with your highest good right now.
Right now. Yes, indeed, right now, man. Whew, what a week, right? What a week.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of things popping off, a lot of things changing, a lot of headlines, subtitles, and the like.
Yeah. A lot of frequency choices. A lot of collective conscious decisions need to be made.
Facts. Yes. Choose you this day the reality that will serve you best.
And this don't have nothing to do with our show, but did you hear this most recent one that they talking about? Canada's response to 25% was to cut off electricity, potentially to the states that they supply it to.
It doesn't shock me.
I was like, I think that was Michigan, New York, Minnesota, California, and I can't think of the fifth one.
Wow, they can control that much of that third grid.
Our electrical grid, yeah, they're providing that much electricity to our electrical grid. And then I think he said a 10% tax for China, and China's response was a 75% tax on American products. And China removed U.S. liquor from their shelves and told their citizens not to purchase with us anymore.
Business is warfare.
Warfare is business.
Yep, got to be business ready, always ready for business. T. Howard, shout out to T. Howard.
You're always on the P's and Q's so you're not false flagged into a war with your brothers and your comrades.
Oh, man. Ain't never lied. Wow. Wowzers. Yo, man. So check this out. We got a hot one for you today. We went live last week sometime on Facebook and plugged this concept that we've been building on and gathering data and internal downloads, external uploads, etc., to bring it all together for you. So, today's topic is a house of prayer, the body being the temple of the living God.
Ye have heard that it is written that my house should be a house of prayer.
Yes.
And you turned it into a den of thieves.
And we're going to talk about who the den of thieves are, what comes to steal our focus, our internal focus, and our personal revelation of purpose, the differences between purpose and functionality, what that actually has to do with the assignment of gender roles and this material realm, and how to overcome some of the obstacles that come in the way of us fulfilling purpose and staying ever steadfast in our focus on that. We're going to talk about what that living God is.
Always abounding in the word of God. That's where I'll be. Okay. Anyway, threw me back to my old church years. You know what I mean? Real quick.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. I was trying to give some time for some viewers to come up in here, but you know how we roll. We'll go in regardless, and you can catch it on the rebound if you didn't catch it on the fast break. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do what we do. So, whew. All right. BlackSunShaman.com. Get your parasite cleanses, get your Faraday products, your EMF protection, your vitamin and nutritional intake, your healing
And you can catch me
restoration
on
products.
the only Black Sun Shaman Healing Center on Facebook. So if you type in Black Sun Shaman Healing Center will come up. And all my affiliate links to all of the products that will help you keep your energetic field clean and keep your energy building so that you have yielding can be found over at that Facebook page, which is Black Sun Shaman Healing Center. And it has links for everything you need there too to make it easy for everybody.
Also, check us out on your rumble.com/ Deeper Dives Dialogue UNL channel. Join our locals, be a part of the community. Like, share, subscribe, contribute, comment, criticize, but you know, be fair in your criticism if that's what you have to offer. Hey,
And you come with the criticism, you better be airtight because you might get a word fight that's going to bring you out of the darkness into the light. Damn right. No.
indeed, indeed, man. You know, help us grow. Help us grow. We're trying to help you grow, so help us grow so we can help others and more abundantly in numbers grow as well. So, man, where you want to kick it off from? Let's get into the meat of this. Let's do our thing.
The body is the temple of the true and living God.
And he who destroys that temple, that man God shall destroy.
Where is the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is in the mind.
Yes. The
Life and
mind,
death is in the power of the tongue.
out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Mm-hmm.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so
Mm-hmm.
is he. So how do we think with our hearts? Are we talking about emotional response to
This
outward stimuli? What are we dealing with?
That's exactly what that sounds like. When we think of the heart, our most common thought is to think of emotions. And then there's another thing going on with the heart, and it's fire. And fire has the ability to transform something from one state of existence to another. So sometimes the fire of the heart overflowing out the mouth has the ability to change things.
Right. So heart and earth would equal hearth. A hearth is what? Somewhat like a stove or a furnace, an oven, something
Mm-hmm.
where the fire is contained, but yet and still giving off the right amount of power and energy and heat signature, right? It could be to cook, which would be for nourishing the body, the physical body, as well as the spiritual body, or it could be to sustain life by way of regulation of temperature, right? But yeah, when we speak of the
So different degrees would determine that, right? So
right,
temperature is determined by difference in degrees. Mm.
right. So if we're thinking in our heart, thinking within the hearth, the central fire, we're talking about passion, right? We would be
Hmm.
referring to the will, right? The word desire comes from the two Latin words de sire, of the Father, right? So Father dealing with our logical and reasonable principles of the mind. We're talking about the right brain, the function of the right brain, and the purpose joined with that function would be the manifestation of our truest will, our truest passion.
And so directing that would look so your emotions, when you have anger, when you have peace, when you have love, when you have fear, these emotions are usually associated with a change in heartbeat as well. That's an interesting factor. The heart will change its rhythm when dealing directly with these emotional patterns. And the mind, you mentioned the mind and marrying the mind and the emotions. A good way to do that is to use the imagination to drive the changes necessary to the emotions that would get the physical changing of your heartbeat to occur as if those things in your imagination were happening right then. Then you would have that energy to to utilize to uh, for whatever you will, as opposed to your emotions being driven by everything and everyone outside of yourself.
Mm. So the energy, like chi, right? Qigong, inner puts me in the mind of inner chi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Breath, breathing.
Mm. Breath.
People be scared. They be getting after they get a whooping. You know they be.
Yeah, we call that hassling. They hassling. Yeah.
then, then there's other things that happen: exercising, sacred energy exchanges, great thoughts, mesmerizing moments. All come with changes of breath and heart rate, and so forth and so on. So those are energy capacitors. The heart has an energetic value. The left and right hemisphere spark of your mind has an energetic value.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So how do we gain an understanding of these things in principle as it pertains to the house of prayer, transitioning from just the temple of the living God and accessing that relationship that comes along with prayer and it becoming a sanctuary of prayer or a secret place.
Well, I would say focus and the casting down of imaginations would be an excellent starting point for how to make it practical. You know what I
All,
mean? Huh?
but not all imaginations, right? Just vain. Is it
Just
vain imagination?
yes, just vain imaginations. Imaginations or mimic imaginations, programming imaginations that have been constructed without your well, how do I say it? May have been constructed for you on a subconscious level or programmed into you, at one level or another. But
Mm,
by casting down those imaginations, you would then take the energy back that they were taking from you. So if it's an emotion that has energy, or if it's a thought that has energy, then by you taking back your imagination, which has the capability to direct your emotions, or your emotions having the capability to direct your thinking, but that's only for the experts because the heart will do all types of crazy things. You know what I mean? With no logical explanation. That's what they commonly call walking in the spirit. But if you can get it so that you use your emotions and you use your thoughts, then you practically can take advantage of those energetic values that may or may not have been stolen or utilized by people outside of your knowing.
indeed, indeed. Sorry, I was trying to bring up these Bible verses that we talked about before. Um,
Oh, no worries, no worries. Take your time, man. Take your time. As for my house is a house of prayer, meaning that I can focus. That was the other. That was the other central point. Focus. If you can take your energy and you can direct it, instead of it being misappropriated by whatever means you may disperse it. What do you call that? Frivolously. You know what I mean? If you can take control of like maybe the things that you say, or maybe the sacred energy exchanges that you have, and things like that, then you can definitely start to utilize your focus in a way where all of the power is directed into whatever you may be imagining or feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. So Matthew 21:13. And he said to them, the scriptures declare my temple will be called a house of prayer, but you have turned it into a den of thieves. Now, this event took place allegedly after they called it the last temptation of the Christ, his journey into the wilderness, the wild place, to be tempted. He was driven away of the self and tempted, and this took place for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 deals with what? Transformation,
Mm. Yes, it does.
right? So we're looking at the transformation from the Son of Man into the full purpose of the Son of God. The functionality of the Son of Man is to be born of a woman, right, into this material plane. But the purpose was so that he could be exalted or expressed in the presence of the witness of others.
Yeah, he went on that mountain transconfigured in front of them dudes too. He did that as well. He went just like he went up there for them 40 days. He also took a moment and went up and showed his transconfigured self to some of his closest people. Interestingly enough, in the showing of his transconfiguration, there was also people who supposed to have died present, which is
Right.
interesting.
So what we're looking at is the revealing of an archetypal foundational role, right? So only his inner circle is what they call those three: Peter, James, and John.
Hmm.
Those were his inner circle. So once again, we're dealing with the inner church. We're dealing with a chamber within the church that is privy to the secrets of God, if you will, right? So only these who have sought after that closest inner secret place, that sacred place, that holy place, are able to see who those around them are. They can see their purpose, not just their functionality. They see James and John are not just the sons of Zebedee and fishermen, right? But their purpose was to become fishers of men.
Hmm.
They were going to be sent out into the proverbial sea of people and only to search out the special fish, that would be able to come back into the fold and become, fishers of men themselves. And then eventually those who walked in discipline, we say disciples, that would transform into apostles, which are basically church builders, right? They build other circles, other inner circles.
Even that, he exhibited what it was in the Garden of Yosemite in the prayer moment. He exhibited what was a high ranking thing to do, which we were talking about focus in the temple of the body. He said, y'all couldn't even pray with me for an hour.
Right.
And then here's an interesting thing for our listeners to do at home to observe whether or not focus is that hard to do. Because an hour doesn't seem like a very long time, but he said they couldn't even roll with him for an hour, and they were supposed to be high ranking individuals as far as spirituality is concerned. But I noticed that the average person can't stay focused on one thing for 60 seconds in today's world. It's so instant. It's so changing with reels and snippets and all of these things that happen so quickly in short time spans that for a person to keep their focus on one thing long enough to build up a thought body about it is rare, unless you put some practice to achieving the ability to harness the energy that comes from focus.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. So that would tie into, the thieves, right? And it says that the devil come not for but to steal, kill, and then destroy. So, man, so you just kind of took us all over the place. I wanted to kind of, so let's do this. Let's do this because we got the longer now picture, right? The larger picture, but let's bring it into closer focus. So, real moves, right? And
mhm.
then you have reel to reel, which is the old school version for y'all who are not familiar with old school filmmaking or old school music production. You had two reels that were in a what they call a can or a canister, a metal casing, and it had these. The film was made out of like gosh, forgive me, like
Magnetic tape.
a magnetic tape for recording for movies or photographs. It was like there was a film of like a plastic um yeah a plastic film or what have you that was covered with a color and probably a I don't know, is there a magnetic stripe in that? You can look that up, you guys, yourselves, but nonetheless it would transfer image or sound from one can to the other canister, right? And it was on a rotating uh, a rotating arm that would spin the reels. Okay, so now when you cast a rod and you're fishing, you have a fly rod, and then you might have a closed reel where the line, the fishing line, is protected or covered, and you can usually take that. Well, not usually. You can always manually take that cover off, right, and change the line or fix something that might have gotten tangled internally in that section. But it's connected to a rod, a knob, and mounted on a rod, right? So you're reeling something in, and then when you're casting, you release. You take this the oh, man, you take the action of that line and you're reversing it, right? So you cast and then you reel. Okay. Now, notice we're talking about all these different concepts, bringing it together. When you're praying, you're not just casting out into an uncharted water without any aim as to what your goal is. Your goal is to catch a fish that's large enough to keep, right? So your focus is where you would see a school of fish, signs of a school of fish. If you can't see through the water, let's say the water is dense or dark in that area, it's kind of murky, kind of muddied. You want to look for signs. You want to see air bubbles coming up. You might see some fallen foliage like trees or shrubbery that's been overtaken by the water nearby. So usually you'll have a fish like bluegill or a bass or some other type of fish is going to be in that area looking for insects and other things to eat. You know what I mean? So um interestingly enough, you will have other fishermen in the area unless you have a private lake, private pond. You know what I'm saying? So this
Mhm.
can be applied throughout this metaphor that we're giving you in so
Yes,
many
indeed.
different ways. Okay. But your focus would be to catch a fish large enough to keep so that you can what? So that you can eat. So you can be fed. Your loved ones can be fed, et cetera, et cetera. So now in praying, we don't want to pray amiss. There's so many scriptures, man. I didn't bookmark them all. But before we get into that aspect even further, let's see. We'll go with Matthew 6, 6 and 9. I'm going to share the screen. All right. So Matthew 6 and 9, it says, I'm my fault. Let me go to the preceding verse. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things. Oh, I got to go back even further. Forgive me, y'all.
What things he has for you, a
I was
plan for you to prosper.
I was trained a little better than this. My bad. Okay.
You got that scripture though, where it says that I know the plans that I have for you. A
No,
plan to.
no,
Oh, okay.
that's a different. Well, we can get into that one too. But this is Matthew 6, 6 through 9 and onward. We'll probably stop at the 17th, 18th verse. But it says, "But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking," right? The multitude of their speech, right? Which
Hmm.
the Proverbs tell us a fool is known by the multitude of their speech. Foolish people talk too much. Okay,
Hmm.
that's what he's telling you. So we don't pray like those foolish people who don't really believe in anything, but are praying to basically impress you or to let you know in some way by bragging. Their prayer somehow turns into a self-aggrandizing statement. So they're making
Using
make it look like, oh, you should want what I have, rather than this is how you ask the universe or God to bring these things into your life. Okay, they're showing
using
off.
vocal relations instead of universal linguistics. That's what's happening there. They're using vain words with no power.
Indeed, indeed. So then he goes on and says, "Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye had need of before you ask him." Because it's logic. We're dealing with the right brain, the father aspect of the human, male or female. That right brain, you already know what you need. You know what you're lacking in your cupboard, your bank account, your pocketbook, your wallet, your engine of your car, the office space that you want to turn into your own business, whatever it is. You already know what you desire, what you need, and what you want, which are three different levels of capacity and understanding. Now, after this manner, pray ye therefore pray ye, sorry, our Father which art in heaven.
Where is heaven, Jay.Drewz, in accordance with biblical perception?
Inside us,
In the mind. In the
around us.
mind. The kingdom of heaven.
I mean, that is the king's domain. But because everything that we see is a projection of an inward state of being,
Mm.
heaven is all of this.
Oh.
Because the mind is contained as far as what we believe, right, or are taught. And the mind is in the brain, rather, or the head, heaven, the
So,
heaven.
so you're saying your inner world is reflected in your outer experiences?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So after this manner, therefore, pray ye, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, sacred, blessed, holy be thy name, thy name, thy authority. Name deals with authority. It deals with assigning of a role. It deals with position within a family, an organization, a circle, a tribe, a club. You get it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Save us from living in reverse. Save us from only existing and not experiencing life in each moment. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Now that's a
Amen.
whole other topic when you get into Amen. And for those of you who only are familiar with it in a religious context or in an ancient Commission or Kemetic context, there's more on that subject. Please believe it. Don't have to believe me, but you know, take it all in and check it all out. It means that which is hidden.
That was funny. You said take it all in, and then I heard project it all out. You know what I mean? Like you like breath. You know, like the chi. Like you take it all in, and then you project your next set of experiences out based on what you were able to take in. Hmm.
But he goes on and explains another concept. We might as well touch on this too. For if ye forgive their men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. So, in other words, if you hold on to the memory of something that someone has done to wrong you, you will also hold on to the memory of the wrong you've done to others, and you'll be bound by that same principle. You won't be able to forgive them or yourself.
Where your focus goes, your energy flows. If you're continually thinking about the wrong that was done unto you, all you're doing with the power of your mind and emotions is recreating similar circumstances that your subconscious can't tell if it's true or not. So your body suffers the serotonin and stress releases that is caused over and over again like a thousand cuts.
With some lemon juice sprinkled on them.
And a little salt, you know what I mean, for good measure. Like,
Yowza, yowza, yowza. I'm
so
trying to
so
figure
you that's what them old people mean. Don't forgive them for them, honey. Forgive them for you. Forgive them for you.
you have to. And I mean, let's deal with the concept of forgive. It's to go before, in front of, and give grace. That's all forgive. We can't use forgiveness to define forgiveness, but to define forgiveness, we have to understand what it is to forgive. Is to go before in your mind, as you've stated already over and over, in your mind, to go before the offense and give grace. So how can I do that when it's already happened? Because you are going into a previous place within the right now moment to give grace to the person as if they hadn't offended you yet. You're really
It's,
restoring your mind.
there you go. Because you don't want them to have the grounds to be settled in your emotions or the grounds to be set. You want them that shit to roll off your back like water off a duck's back. You know what I mean? Because you don't want your next creative experience to be based on the high level of energy that you gave them in anger or the high level of energy that you gave them in whatever level of energy that you was given to them. If you can stay focused, you can hear them and you can stay focused. The hardest people to do it with is mamas and grandmothers for men, I guess. I don't know if it's for women too, but the hardest ones for us is our mothers and our grandmothers what they say holds so much weight. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like, mama feel like this, I'm gonna change my whole world. So mama feel something different because I love my mama. My mama gave me life. My mama was there for me when nobody else was. All of this is understandable, and for some it's true, and for some it's not. But you do have to understand that regardless to how much you love mama and how much you love grandma or grandpa and daddy, you know what I'm saying? No matter how much you love them, sometimes their concepts or sometimes their ideology cannot be the ley line for your creation. Sometimes you have to do something different. You can hear them, you can respect them, you can love them, and you can stay focused all at the same time. And then your focus may be the very graduating behavioral pattern that they need to come out of a ley line that they got stuck in. And that would be generational curses being broken by that type of behavioral pattern, what they call generational curses, which is just self-governing behavioral patterns repeated in generations over time, wherever they got them from, for whatever reason they were acquired and implemented into the family. That's why you'll see a bunch of men that operate in the same field in a family. You'll see a bunch of women who have the same behavioral pattern in a family. Those generational behavioral patterns have a place of origin and have been made into not only a line, but a genetic marker, depending on how far these behavioral patterns go back. Focus in a house of prayer is enough to change genetics, is what I just said.
Gotcha. All right. Ooh, so we're gonna deal with this house of prayer. We're gonna show all these different types of prayer, right? And now these are not to be taken literally. We've all who've been raised in some type of church or in Christianity of some level have probably heard, if not read along or studied these scriptures of our own accord. Now, here's some important stuff right here. We're gonna elaborate on this for them. Let's see here. So this is let me tell you where we're reading first. Luke chapter 22.
Look, I am your father.
Well, see, now that's a different revelation. uh the dark father. Let's see here. All right. So I'm gonna start at verse 27 because we usually don't contextually have people start there, at least not in my experience. I haven't ever seen it, but we're gonna go here. All right, so Luke 22, verse 27 on to 35. We're going. It says, whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat? I'm sorry, it's a question. For whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat? But I am among you as he that serveth. Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations, and I appoint unto you a kingdom, as my Father hath appointed unto me, that ye may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, sit on the thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen my brethren. And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death. And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before thou thou shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me.
Mhm.
And he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, lacked ye anything? And they said, nothing. They said they lacked nothing. I got to go in one more verse. Then he said unto them, but now he that hath the purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. So these are different levels of prayer. So in this prayer is revealed to him that the one that he loveth within his circle. They say John was the one that he loved the most, right? Meaning he was closest to him. Like they were more alike.
Mhm.
But Peter was his defender. Later on in this same chapter, Peter draws a sword right after this conversation and a prayer that you mentioned that was supposed to take place, and cuts the ear of a soldier who coming to arrest the Christ, clean off his face, right? Now, this is the man that just got told, yo, when I went ahead in prayer, when I traveled in that prayer, I saw you act like we were not even cool, bro. I saw you tell these ninjas, I don't know him. I ain't never heard of him in my life. You got me messed up. You got me mistaken with somebody else, my G.
So let's take that back to praying like the vain with words that mean nothing. He showed the contrast of what was being said out of his mouth and what was being thought in his mind, or what his heart was going to do. He was able to see inside of him that was all talk.
So that body, the temple, my Father's house, shall be called a house of prayer, but you have turned it into a den of thieves. We've talked about the parasitic infection.
Oh, you took the word right out. Yes.
We've talked about the demonic possession. I mean, I would want to go back into Malachi where he talks about bringing the tithes into the storehouse. And then it talks about that the priesthood would rebuke the devourer for their sakes when they brought the tithe into the storehouse. The mealworm and the cankerworm, that they would be destroyed as opposed to destroying the abundance that was brought into the storehouse.
Mm-hmm.
But when we talk about the material church, it's a storehouse.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a storehouse and a house of prayer, but it's become a den of thieves. The cankerworm and the mealworm and all the other worm types,
and the fluke worm and the pinworm and the
wax worm, the
toxoplasmosis and the
so we're dealing with those who have been placed to steal, to kill, and to destroy.
Indeed, they're not only that, they're doing it just the way a parasite does. A parasite will be in the body, and once you bring in the goods, it'll take from it right after you bring it in the goods before it has any opportunity to go to anything good. There's two things that I notice in church atmosphere that would make this a more concrete and viewable thing. There's people who have the pot bellies. A pot belly is a sign of parasitic infection to a big degree. Okay. Then you have those individuals that find themselves in positions of power all throughout clergy positions. Then you have ministers who stand at altars, Jay. I'm not gonna go into that one too far because I'll go into that one too far. But these are other individuals who direct people's energy to a specific focus, whether it be the building fund or the new Cadillac or the new house or the new building. All of the funds and the energy that coming in go to that, even when they direct the praise to God for that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Praise God as if it is already done is the mind being utilized and the imaginative force of a person being utilized to fund the creation outside of themselves, instead of the minister empowering the people to utilize that conductive mental energy to create something to better their own specific lives. And this is the way it's conducted in most cases. And just in Highland Park, I mean, I hate to call out a city like that, but I am just in this case, just to point out what I'm saying. There's a stretch of land within there, brother, where you go in them houses is tore down so bad in some places where they got front doors to cover up the windows upstairs to keep the elements from coming in the house. They took the door. You know, you got a screen door and you got a door. Some I've seen poor to the point over there where they took the screen door off so that they could cover their upstairs window. It looked like a third world country. But as you drive down through there, there'll be a whole bunch of houses and then a multi-million-dollar church. A whole bunch of poor houses in neighborhood, then a multi-million-dollar church. And this goes on and on and on for miles within that neighborhood. And this is another parasitic explanation or outward showing of what parasite or the den of thieves or the house of the den of thieves in action. In action. Taking time, taking money, and taking the value of a neighborhood right out of it by misdirecting their energy, because the same position could be utilized. I don't mean to be talking extensive like this, but the same energy could be utilized and directed towards building if it wasn't parasitic.
Indeed. I got you. I got you. So, in other words, there are members of the clergy that lack discipline, not just in their physical diets or exercise and their physical focus on their physical health, right? But more so, this is a spiritual sign to those who would be externally onward looking that could add to their spiritual discernment in people who may be well meaning,
Mm-hmm.
but simply have not been given over into the actual discipline necessary to hold that functional office. Is that what you're saying, or no?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And their motivations, and just to give it a little touch more, their motivations may be parasitic in nature because they haven't had that discipline. It's not to say that they're a discipline or to speak about them negatively. It's to say that in some cases, you may have been hijacked and your motivations may not be the best interest of the people. They may be the best interest of the parasite. And if it's the best interest of the parasite, then you cause others to operate in parasitic actions because you didn't have the discipline for your position to be pure. To be pure. You know what I mean? That's where the purity thing comes from. Everybody thinks that it's an uppity thing for people to have certain diets or to not partake in certain activities and things like that. They think because they're being uppity, it's not the holier than thou is what they call it. That's the term that they like to use most, holier than thou. But if you study those behavioral patterns down to what to eat, what not to eat, what to put on, what not to put on, what oils to use, what oils not to use, then you find that these are preventative measures for parasitic overtaking of your body. So those purity levels are to protect yourself so that you can get clear transmissions from that place we were talking about in the temple or in your body, the heart.
Indeed. This is, I think, a good segue. So we're going to talk about the thieves. Malachi 3, verse 10. No, let's go to 8 because we got to understand this thing. Would a man rob God? If you are the temple of the living God, you are the dwelling place. I mean, we could say it so many different ways, right, T?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You, when you are in your right mind, which means when you are operating the will, not in the these words, when you are operating the will of your Father, you are God in the same manner in which Yeshua was God in person.
And hold on, and I gotta address this before Christian turn the channel because they'll turn the channel right at that. Before you turn the channel, stop, stop.
I said, prefaced, if you are operating the will, the desire of the Father, you are operating as God.
A co-creator.
If he called them gods to whom the word of God was sent.
An ambassador.
So, will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offering. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. I'll curse your whole country. Why? Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and ye shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. Your words have been stout against me, saith the Lord. You've been speaking negative self-talk. You've been talking against your temple because you don't like how it looks, even though you might have been distracted by things that seem so real, but now your body's fallen into bad repair. Little health issues starting to pop up. But you're cursing your body by the things you're speaking over it rather than saying, it's okay. We can correct ourselves. It's okay. We can fix this. At least we can put the effort in. And hey, if it's meant for that ornate part of my being to return to its former glory, it will. If it's not, it's okay. It's adjusted for time, or what we call the effects of time. All right. Yet ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee? You keep acting like you don't know what you're doing. Ye have said, it is vain to serve God. I don't need to take care of myself. I don't need to focus on the things that best serve me or serve my best interests so that I have enough to go around when other people need me. And what
Man,
profit is it that we have kept in his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord of hosts? Been feeling sorry for ourselves. But he already told you. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone from my order. You stop practicing the first fruits, the best practices, and you stop bringing in the
This is the
tithes.
danger. This is the danger of people repeating, like we talked about earlier, repeating stuff that they don't know what they talking about. This is the danger of it right here. A person will have to go through a process to gain an understanding of how to utilize energy. Then get out here and talk about how to utilize the energy, what they discover, and a person will hear it and go repeat it to someone else, but they don't give her the parameters, they don't give the warnings, they don't give the preventative measures, they don't give the healing process that you can go through. They only give you the doom and gloom part and the part that sounds interesting. And then you have an unwhole view of something, and you go try to take care, you go try to utilize the energy thing, and you just stick your finger in the socket. You just stick the damn fork in the thing in the wall and wonder why you got electrocuted, because he
Hmm.
forgot to tell you that you need to step down the energy before it comes into you, or you need to put a type of glue or condenser between it and your body so that the transfer can be complete, or the transfer could be non-dangerous. That's what you hit a sensitive spot, because
Mm.
that drives me up a wall when people do that. They give you a piece of information, like repeating. They'll tell you, "Oh yeah, just keep saying this money mantra, and in 2 days you'll have everything that you need." And I'll be like, somebody slap that person, please. The words ain't gonna cut it, my friend, to get you no results. You're gonna be mad in a couple of days. You're gonna be ready to give up. If you was praying, you're gonna be ready to give up on God in a couple of days, because you thought that you repeating them words was gonna be good enough for you to get some energetic results. It's more than that. It's much more than that. There's more to it. You have to say it on every level you can say it on to get that energy results.
The temple, the body, mind, temple activation. I'm gonna go back to Malachi again. Forgive me, but I got to do this. 13, verse 13, chapter 3, Malachi, the book of Malachi, and this is the King James version. Sorry, that's the one that I did cut my teeth with, y'all. So there are probably better interpretations in the English language. However, I'm
Listen,
going
and
to I'm going to attempt to share this based upon the revelation that has been given in the tongue in which I have become accustomed. Right, your words have been stout against me, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee? How did we offend you? How have I gone against the God in the temple? Ye have said, it is vain to serve I almost said me, but it is vain to serve God. And that what I'm sorry, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance, that and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord of hosts? And now we call the proud happy. We were talking about that earlier, the ones bragging in their prayer. Oh Lord, I just want to thank you for the new F-150 I bought last week, cash, Lord Jesus. I just want to thank and praise you, Lord, for that Harley Davidson that I got parked in and chained down in that F-150 that I could ride recreationally when I want to draw the attention of the women, Lord. I just want to thank you for how you've blessed me, oh God.
NPD,
Okay.
this is NPD, narcissistic disorder prayer right here. What in the name of narcissistic disorder prayer is this? No,
But now we call the proud happy. Yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Now I'm not saying a Harley and an F-150 is wicked. That's not neither here nor there. But
this is a
yea, they that tempt God are even delivered. What? I gotta see. Okay. And now the proud we call the proud happy. Yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, they that tempt God are even delivered. That's a deception. But it says, and then they that feared the Lord spake often one to the another, sorry, one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written. What, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and that thought upon his name. I'm gonna go back again. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and
I'm,
that thought upon his name.
I'm going to give an explanation of something. We'll throw this in the area of speculative theory. Okay, they say that those secret groups have words that they only share with each other.
Mhm.
They have concepts that they only share with each other. So when they say this certain thing or do this certain signal to another brethren within their community, they know what it means. Okay.
Mhm.
Then on another level, they have pools of energy that you can pull from if you know the word to access it. So
Mhm. Mhm.
they'll use sacred words, and they'll give you the sacred word, and you can pull energy from that. Then there's even another level that they do utilize this type of energy focus on. They'll get each other together and they'll hand each other cards, and on these cards will be different depictions and words, and they are to go from that place and fulfill those ordinances by whatever means they can. And they have other people in the world who know their role. So when they come into a room or to they come into a place, they're able to excel because they have the energy of people who support their focus.
So just like there's no past, present, or future, there is no you, they, there is only I and we. So, verse 17, and they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him, that works for his company, or works in the household, or works for the farm, the family business. So then it says, then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. Now I'm going to go back because I didn't preface it in this episode, but we know the etymological resonance of the word God comes from a Sanskrit word, huta, translated into an old High German word, gut, which translates into English in the Middle English period as Gott, which later becomes God. So it did not refer to a deity or an entity outside of the self. Rather, it referred to that which is called upon from within us. I'm going to add the word us, or invoked. So when there's a worship or worship, depending on your perspective, within a corporate building by a corporate body, in order to invite the presence of what they call God, there is a prayer called an invocation. So, an invocation, not very much unlike an incantation, is the stirring up of the spirit within. The spirit deals with the breath, and the breath being put into emotional or into he emotional status is inspiration, to be inspired, right? To be in the breath,
Hmm.
right? So we were talking about breath a little earlier, right? And we were talking about how we can use the breath to activate certain dimensions within the solical experience. I'll put it that way. Some call it travel. There's different levels and understandings of it, right? None right or wrong per se. Um, some unexplored, some explored to some extent, but not to the fullest capability of understanding. But when you're dealing with the breath, the in breath, the out breath, some people say that's Yahweh, right?
Mhm.
Yahweh, Yahweh, right? So we're talking about respiration patterns, inspiration, invocation. What does it mean to call upon the name of the Lord, right? Are we literally talking about pronouncing a term in reference to a being or an entity outside of the self? Or are we talking about through the inspiration, right, of the ethos, of the common ethos, that personalized, purpose oriented, or focused channeling of the energy that was given specifically to the purpose of an individual as it relates to the whole of the group? Functionality versus purpose. My man, I'm a man. I mean, I'm a man. So my function as a man is
Uh-oh.
provide my function, protector, secure, right? To nurturer, my children at times nature, also to resilience. Okay, yep. I'm sorry, hurt yourself. Daddy understands. I've hurt myself before too. Now go back out there and do it again. Okay, you can't have fear. You fell off the bike. It's okay. Scratch knee. We got the band-aid on. We got the clean. We cleaned it up. We put the peroxide on. It's disinfected. Go on back.
You'll even catch it. No worries. No, but even sometimes you'll catch children doing it. They'll build up enough mental energy to be able to do something. You know what I mean? You'll say, son, climb this ladder, and he'll be like, I'm afraid to climb that ladder. You'll say, well, something like, big and strong people climb the ladder. You know what I'm saying? Or something along those lines. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
something to encourage them. Encourage. Again, there's that in. Encourage them to have the ability to do the climbing of the ladder. So then you'll watch them. They'll not want to do it because they're in front of people because they don't have the confidence. But as soon as you turn your head, they'll climb up the thing or do whatever, and then they'll call your attention. Look what I did. Look what I did.
Yes.
The strength didn't come from anything other than the inward standing for
Yes.
them to do that. And then so that's not miraculous. So somebody wants to see it miraculous because we in a generation that always asking for signs. A mother, right, who is trying to save her child will lift a helicopter or a car off the ground based off the what? It can't be her muscle strength. It can't be. It's
No.
not possible.
No.
How is she able to perform that impossible feat? Right. Exactly. The mind. The power of the mind. Her creative force. Her emotions. Her emotions so high. She like, my baby, I gotta get my baby, I gotta get my baby. And throw it. Where did all that? That's all energy.
Inspiration.
Mm, mm, mm.
We could say fear, but it's stress response. The stress response activation of spiritual muscle memory. At a time when we would be able to look at the car individually or collectively. It depends on how easy of a time. Okay, some say, well, prove it. Well, I can't necessarily prove it to you scientifically, but we'll give an example of what you might consider a mythos or an allegory. The prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. It says that he prayed so hard that he sweat blood. He cried blood while his
Blood.
inner circle slept. He prayed so transformatively and so intensely that out of his pores, blood came to the surface instead of sweat.
If you seen, I think it was our very first episode. So much information can be held in a drop of blood. If that man was up there reading his blood, listen. Anyway,
Why did he right? Why did he choose the word, or why did the whatever the transliterator choose the words? If this cup can pass from my lips into another, let it be so. But nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be thy will, not my will, but thy will be done.
yeah, because you have moments when you create something good that look contradictory to the good that you've created. You have to be able to hold the good in the midst of that in order to have the good. It's the test. If you want to say that, it's the test to have it. Because if you can be immediately changed back into another level of thinking that doesn't provide for you to remain there, you will lose it every time. And it's not you losing anything but some energy. Um, how do
I mean,
and go ahead.
you're fine. Even in that, like, okay, so the will. This is what is the what is the God? Who is the God in the temple? Who is the living God? What is the living God? Is not the breath alone, but it is within the breath
Hmm.
that there is life. It's within the blood that there is life, and also the light of men. So
That's
in
it.
the blood as well as in the breath, there is the particles of light, which we're
Hmm.
looking at science manipulating particulates that give off reflective qualities at times and sometimes almost transparent, but nonetheless contain a metallic element that can, when combined together in condensed form, like not condensed, what's one, when it's yeah, condensed like a cloud, it can actually block out UV ray, not just
Hmm.
harmful UV rays, but nourishing UV rays.
Not
Right?
just nourishing UV rays, DNA activating UV rays.
Well, yeah, same thing. Nourishing to the DNA. Vitamin D can only be processed from the sun. You can take all the tablets you want. That synthetic processing is only going to be an absorption rate of 1 to 2% max.
Even
Right?
your vegan diets is only getting you some secondary, and this is why the illest diet in the world, Jay. I don't have enough discipline at this point in my life to operate in this type of functionality. But the illest diet you'll ever encounter in your life is the person that can take multivitamins with some type of siligent to help it go into the system in liquid, and that be their only diet. You would be, you would, and some amino acids. You would be the illest. You would be the illest. Your energy transference. You talking about thinking quicker than people? You would be thinking quicker than people, emoting quicker than people, listening to your body's responses quicker than people could even have any idea of on a regular basis because it's electric.
Well,
You taking
my bad.
it's electric. It's electric. And with that type of electric current, you have the capability to empower yourself to the point that your capability to do things is not bandwidth like every just a quick explanation.
Right.
The brain operates in a certain bandwidth. There are certain thoughts that you should not operate in. They try to limit your thinking. AI is about to do it to a whole nother level. Facebook has already went on their efforts to do it, and so forth and so on. They restrict certain categories of information. Previous to that, you restrict certain books and information. Also, sound ordinances. You don't allow sound to get up to a certain extent or a certain height. You know what I mean? This is because they want you operating in a certain bandwidth of thought. They tell you to breathe in your lungs and to not breathe through your ears and the microfibers in your ears to produce electricity. They tell you no, just do lung breathing. Breathe in your lung and out your mouth, you know what I mean? And out your lung, and that's the extent of breath that they give you. That's because they only want you operating in a certain bandwidth. In order to get out of these bandwidths, you have to
Right.
outside the box, breathe using techniques that are not commonly prescribed. This is how they, what do you say, dim down your power. This is how they,
Yeah. Dumb down. Yep. How they limit your intelligence capacity, how they limit your data transfer capability, uh,
mm-hmm.
or rate. It's um hmm, we were saying about the absorption rate, right? Even in when you deal with absorption, you deal with let's break it down a little further. Your body's ability to utilize the data that has been transferred. So it's not that these products don't contain any type of data that is intended or could be used for potentially your nourishment, your growth, the use of certain abilities over and over again without the max expulsion of energy, right? But there's an absorption rate that is lacking, and it has to do also with comprehension on a mental plane. When you have a group of people who are the most creative, most emotionally intelligent, most compassionate, most loving on the planet, but reading at lower than what is the comprehension rate?
Oh my God. It's like, I don't even remember, but it's low for the US. Let's just say that.
One thing that was always something I was great have been grateful for is being able to comprehend with operating and reading comprehension on a comprehension rate far beyond you know uh, normal capacity. Since I was a child, first time it was measured was at 8 years old, and to be able to comprehend things that a first year college student would have been reading and dealing with, just for example. And it's like I'm not the only one because I was surrounded by people who were, if not as intelligent as me in their own way or in their own right. They had the ability to increase their intelligence rate if they weren't there. So even if mine progressed, let's say 3 months from that point to a year from that point, I might still have been ahead of some of them, but they were at least at where I was at, and it might have only taken them 3 months to a year. When you have people that you're trying to compliment and they're taking offense, ready to fight you, okay, not a backhanded compliment. You're speaking straightforward in the
Jack,
language that y'all both grew up speaking and learning, right?
the narcissist is the worst to encounter this with. You will go to help the narcissistic person, and they'll turn you into the enemy for such activity. And that's because they think you're taking their food.
Poor little tank tank. Um, poor poor little tank tank. Shout out to Catwood. Interesting. So Sunday service, and some churches have two or three. Some televised, some radio broadcast. Big ups to those who have answered the call for purpose. Not any particular faith, church, temple, But these teachings were meant for life. They were meant to give life, and that more abundantly. And if that's not what you're doing, I mean, you can talk about all the hell, you can talk about all the crowns and all this and that, but if you're not giving any further context besides that which is contained with only the 66 to 91 to the missing 50 Gnostic gospel traditions, any of that, that's all wonderful. It's all well and good, man, but just understand that we may not have it all together, but together we have it all.
And the
And
word of God is ever changing. That's another thing that people don't grasp onto. The word of God is ever changing. If nature is speaking the words of God, if you're developing genetics every generation, you're developing a new genetic standing, then that means that it's changing all the time. That's the downfall of AI. Without a biological something to read, then they'll find themselves stagnated. Period. Even with predictive reasoning only bills you out so many years, and then there's always things that don't go according to plan. You can't predict things that don't go according to plan.
correct.
And that's unpredictable. So if AI does actually take over in any way and biological mechanisms are put in place for these AIs to have bodies and so forth and so on, the problem will be that one day, if nature changes, if the elements change,
Well,
if it
that's already underway.
exactly, then the AI will find itself stuck like the Greys looking for genetic information in another dimension.
See, now so now you touched on it, might as well. So we're talking about the house of prayer, the house of God, or the temple of the living God. We're talking about destroying the temple, building the temple up, sustaining the temple, storing things up within the temple. Okay. And then you mentioned nature. Why you have to go and do that? Nature, neteru. What we worship, we are. Okay. That is the only reason why we recognize it as worthy of acknowledgement, praise, honor, and glory. There's nothing else to measure, right? So then when we keep looking at the word ruler, we're saying Lord. Ruler is also an instrument of measurement. What do you measure yourself against? We know that comparison is the thief of all joy. So do we compare ourselves with the true and living God? That's all we compare ourselves with. And I don't mean in the sense of competition. I don't mean in the sense of venerating or elevating the lofty thought of self above that which you come from, that which has made you, or that which is makes that which you are encompassed by, with, and about, or comprises your makeup, right? That's all we're really saying. That's all we're really saying. Because as you brought up, casting down every vain imagination and high thought that exalts itself above what? The knowledge of God. But what are we really knowing with the knowledge of God? That which is called upon from within, that which is invoked.
And then for anybody who say you got to get it out of a book, you got to get it out of a something, I hear you. I hear you. And I understand what you are saying to me. Now I have a question. Now that I've showed you that I understand, I have a question for you. And I want you to really take this into consideration. Those who find their dependency for formulation in orchestrated and organized books, religions, and so forth and so on. Where did those ideas come from?
Well,
That's all. We don't even have to discuss it. You answer that question on your own time. We don't even have to go no further than that. Just all of that dependency on something that came out of somebody, just like it can come out of you.
in the beginning was the Ta. I'm sorry, logos. I mean, word. So wait a minute. Ta, audible, first audible sound, God of speech. What is God? Invocation of speech. The necessity of some other form of communication resonated, vibrated, and then brought about speech. Oh, what are we really saying? That's what you don't understand. That's what you don't comprehend. And that's what you don't appreciate. Whoever I'm talking to, don't take offense, take it under advisement, and do something about it.
I seen a feather's wing doper than any Coogee knit jogging suit I ever seen, Jay. It was the illest thing. Now I like Coogee. I'm from Detroit. You know what I like? I like the old school knit with
Mm,
the color and it's linen underneath the bottom. I like the I like in the silk words. You know what I'm talking about? That
yeah.
conducted really quality. But I seen a bird with a wing on it, Jay, that put that outfit to shame. I seen a caterpillar with some designs on the outside that put that outfit to shame. I seen some flowers, Jay, with some colors on them that put that outfit to shame. If I wanted to learn how to do something the best way, then I would probably learn it from nature. Ain't no book gonna teach me nothing that they didn't learn from nature in the area of science. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. The illest energy transference system in the world is found in the lightning.
And in him was light, and that light was the life of man.
I am the way.
Truth and the life.
Mm, mm.
Right. I am. I am. I am. I am what I always was. I am who
Whatever you say
who
I
I
am.
am, and I am becoming, ever becoming who I will be. Okay? It's a continuous process, but you can call it God. You can call it the name of God because it is the authority by which that which is invoked operates. And if you
And
go ahead and figure that out,
and collective consciousness creates that reality. When you looking up at them stars, that when you get close up on them, they geometrically
right.
doing this. That's a collective changing the geometrical shape of the holographic projector for that universal experience.
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep. So, seek that perfect will, that desire that comes from that which is invoked and inspired, that which is called upon from within the heart of man.
Your body is the temple of the true and living God. The unadulterated word of God is written on your heart. The
Yes.
before it was tainted, before it was misdirected, before it was misguided, it's in the temple of your heart where your DNA and RNA are given light and instructions in rhythmic wave patterns. Your heart.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. On that note, we're gonna bring it to you to part two very, very soon. This, like I said, this week was a doozy. Finally, we're able to coordinate. Normally, our time. We're not going to even state the time at the moment because we're going to give you a consistent time that
You can
uh,
leave.
we are going to present our content and our live streams, etc. www.blacksunshaman.com. What's your link again? Your link tree or
Go to Facebook and just type in Black Sun Shaman, and Black Sun Shaman Healing Center will come up, and you can find all of my Amazon affiliate links there. And it'll take you to the products and give you an explanation of the products. And remember, my goal is to clear your energy pathways so that you can be reconnected to yourself. My job as a shaman is to bring your soul back to you. My job as a shaman is to amplify your light body. And I give you the products to assist you and getting that energy back to you so that you can be aware of the levels of consciousness necessary to have self identity. Yes, indeed.
yes, indeed. Like, share, and subscribe. Join our locals at Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited or UNL at rumble.com / Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited or UNL. You can also donate if you want to help support our show, our content, and be able to produce, more higher quality imagery, etc. Um, bells and whistles production, or just what I'm saying, to expand our growth here. PayPal at the real Jay.Drewz. Anything that you send, I will reinvest into the platform, the program. Like, share, subscribe, join our locals, comment, criticize, uh, contribute. What's the other word we say? Collaborate. We're open to collaborate. If you want to come on and be interviewed, if there's something you specialize in, if there's something you want to share with our audience that would be of benefit to them spiritually, naturally, materially, health wise, give us a shout out, contact us. The channel is, at Jay.Drizzy 3692. That's our Beyond the Veil Deeper Dives Dialogue podcast channel on YouTube. Thank you for joining us once again. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And we will see you soon with the next episode.
I'll let you